Hello, you guys. We are back with another episode of The I World, and this has been a long-awaited episode. We have not put out an episode since April. Now, if this is your first time here, my name is Brittany. I am one of the hosts of this podcast that I run. I don't know if run is the right word, but I run this podcast with my sister. My sister is my best friend. We are kind of like two halves of the same whole. There are so many things about us that are the same and then so many things that are different. And we really do want to bring you more episodes going into this next year of this podcast together. But for tonight, you have me, and I am so excited to catch you guys up on the last few months. Now, if this is your first time tuning in, The I World is a podcast that is a manifestation, mindset, money, just lifestyle podcast. And we kind of wanted to, for this next chapter, bring in more of the lifestyle and actually talk more about our personal lives, which we didn't really do so much in the first, year of this podcast, but you live and you learn. And I have had quite the year. About 2 months ago, I got married. And honestly, I'm going to take a lot of the blame for why we haven't put out an episode, because if you were listening weekly, Talia and I alternated weeks. We don't live together. And it was always a little tricky for us to get together in person to film. But we're going to change that in going into this next year. And I can't believe this podcast has existed for a year already. I'm so proud of us for taking the first step to do it, because it's something I've wanted to do for so long. And if you don't know, this podcast was started in memory of our father, who passed away almost 3 years ago. So that's kind of how we started it. We wanted it to be a place that all of the lessons and stuff that we learned from him, we could put into something that would live on forever, and something that maybe our kids would listen to one day. I mean, I wish I had a podcast of my dad giving life advice, because he had the best advice. But going forward, we are going to put out an episode every single week and give you a little bit more of what's going on in our personal lives. And I really hope we're going to get on this couch together. So if you're watching this on video, because I am also going to start putting out video episodes on YouTube. So if you're tuning in from YouTube, hi. I am sitting in basically my brand new home. I have lived here for I think 4 years now, but in the last few months, part of the reason why I was not present and not putting out episodes, one is I got married 2 months ago, and a lot happened in the last few months, which I will tell you about. And two, I also had a flood in my house and had to move out of my house into a trailer for a few months while we were renovating. And that's actually kind of what this episode is going to be about, is some of the things that went wrong this year, but how they actually went right. I'm going to give you two stories. We're going to start with the house story. So back at the end of April, which the last time we put out an episode was April. Now you're going to get why. At the end of April, I was laying in bed one morning. It was 9 o'clock in the morning. My husband, who was just my fiance at the time, had gotten up, brushed his teeth, went to work, and I'm laying in bed. And it was actually the night before he had friends over. So I had my dogs in my room with me, which I normally don't. They usually stay downstairs, but I had them in the room with me, 4 dogs, and myself. And all of a sudden, I just hear a burst. The hose under the sink popped. It actually fried and burst out piping hot water. I think the plumber told me it ended up being 140 degrees. And it was coming out so fast. Now, my dogs are little, so 2 of them do not go down the stairs. And I was like, oh my God, I have to somehow stop this water, get all 4 dogs downstairs, put clothes on, and how do I do this? So I go into my phone, and I have this guy who's a plumber in my area saved into my phone. Thank God. I call him, and I'm like, I have a flood. Are you free right now? Can you come here? So he was like, yes, I could be there in 10 minutes. I call my husband. I'm like, get home. I don't know what's going on, but there's water just flowing down the hallway. I need help. So he comes home, turns around, comes home, grabs the dogs, puts them downstairs for me. I'm seeing later on the camera, because I have a Ring camera downstairs, that there's literally water coming down from the ceiling. He goes down to the basement to try to shut off the main water supply. But all of this in the moment, you're panicking and you're trying to do things as quickly as possible, but a lot of damage happens really quickly. And the plumber came and basically told me I needed to call a contractor. And I'm like, I'm not really sure I'm going to call a contractor. And he's like, I'm telling you, you can do whatever you want, but you have wood floors. You just had water like literally flooding through the floors, through your ceiling, and there's going to be damage here, and you're going to end up seeing the damage later. So I called my mom, obviously, because I'm not going to do anything without my mom. And my mom was like, yes, call the contractor. And basically what happened from there, the contractor came that he recommended. He has a public adjuster come. And basically I didn't know anything about like any of this stuff with insurance, but the public adjuster talks to the insurance company for you and advocates for you to get as much money as possible to fix the loss at your home. So a lot happened, but if you didn't know, when I moved into my house, there were some things I didn't like about my house, like my kitchen. My kitchen, not the one that's in the back of this video, was blue and all like stainless steel and blue. It was, so the person who owned my house before me was a chef, and the whole kitchen was like custom for him. And it had like just kind of like weird, as if it was like kitchen in like a prison or like a kitchen in like a cafeteria. I don't know. It was just not like chic. It wasn't my style. It wasn't the vibe I was going for. And when I moved into my house, I was sitting in the kitchen with my mom and my sister and my dad, and we were talking, and my dad was like very good at flipping like narratives around, and it was like reverse psychology all the time with him. Like if my mom made, chicken with broccoli and we didn't want the broccoli, he'd be like, oh my God, can I have your broccoli? I love this broccoli. This is the best. You don't want this broccoli? I can't believe you don't want it. He was just really good at that, and he would make you want it. So kind of the same thing with the house. And so when I was telling him like that night, it was a January night when we moved in, and we're sitting in the kitchen, and I was saying like, oh, the first thing that I want to do when I have some extra money is I want to renovate this kitchen. And he was like, what? This kitchen? Do you know how many people would kill for this kitchen? This kitchen is amazing. This is a chef's kitchen. And he wasn't wrong, but at the end of the day, it was just him putting a nice spin on it. It was not my dream kitchen. Now, I do believe that my dad works miracles from heaven. And I'm not a religious person. I'm not somebody who even like really knew I didn't even really know if I believed in God. So many things happened throughout my life that made me question if God was real. When my dad passed away, I adopted a lot of his beliefs, and it was a way for me to connect with him. And my dad did believe in God and heaven, and he always talked to like his parents who had passed, especially his mom, who he was really close to. And he just like never looked at like people passing as a sad thing. It was kind of just like a new way to connect with them. And he would just always say like, oh yeah, I talked to Shirley this morning. That's his mom's name. Like he would always just say things and say like, oh, everything's going to work out. I talked to Shirley about it. And like, I kind of adopted some of those things when he was gone, because I don't know if it was a coping mechanism or if I just became a little bit more open to the possibility that really is a way to connect. So, and I do believe it now, it's something that the more you open your mind to it, the more, like, this might sound cheesy if you don't believe in it, but like the more that God shows you that like there is a way to connect with people when they're gone, and that there is this higher power that exists. So I really believe that this flood happened in my house because my dad wanted to give me a wedding gift. And I know that some of you guys might think that sounds silly, but there's no coincidences. And the fact that this flood happened and leaked down over my kitchen and made it so that my kitchen, and enough of damage was done so that insurance would cover it, because the water leaked through all 3 levels of the home into the basement. So from the top floor all the way down to the basement, water was, travels down fast. I got all new, my floors refinish to a lighter color wood. I got every room in my house painted. My entire kitchen basically came out and was redone. I mean, I love it if you can see it in the background. It's a little messy right now, but it's beautiful. And I believe that my dad wanted to give me this gift. And so he sent me a flood so that I would get a new kitchen and I would get a brand new home with everything freshly painted and renovated. And I mean, all these little things, like, for example, in my living room, I have a big 85-inch TV. Me and my husband are big movie watchers, TV watchers. This is definitely my escape. It's also a little bit of my guilty pleasure. And in my living room, I have, to my left, 2 big sliding doors. And there's really only one wall that the TV could go on. So I got a huge TV partially because I wanted to try to cover this window, but the window was so long that even with an 85-inch TV, which they don't really come much bigger than that, I still could not fully cover the window. So when this flood happened, the way that it works through insurance is that you get like kind of a lump sum of money and then you pay a contractor to do a job. And there was money available for me to close up this window. Now, this is something that I wanted to have done. Like, I actually had a contractor come to the house and give me a quote to do this. And this job alone was going to be like $10,000. I mean, there was something else I wanted. I wanted to have like one of the built-in fireplaces with it. But it was like, a huge added expense that I was like, okay, this is really more of a want than a need. So I'll get to it when I can get to it. And from this flood, which, don't get me wrong, having the big flood in the house did force us to move out of the home about 2 months before we left for our wedding. So it was not ideal. We had to have everything taken out of the house. It was a little bit stressful. And a lot of people along the way were like, I can't believe that you're so calm. And I'm like, I feel so calm because I feel like my dad sent this to me as a gift, and this is really a gift because it's a little bit stressful, but in the long run, I'm going to be so happy that I got this basically whole brand new home from this. I mean, every wall painted the color I wanted, professionally done. When we moved into the house, we painted the walls in some of these smaller bedrooms and stuff. They didn't look good. I had paint on the ceiling that wasn't supposed to be there. I had paint on the wood floors that like we messed up. I mean, this all got completely refinished and redone. What a lucky blessing that is, And it really is all about how you look at things. So that was the first thing. And even from that, I mean, we got money to replace this couch. We got money to replace, so many things that got damaged in this flood. So, which like the damage on this couch was really kind of minimal. Like, we really got very, very, very lucky. And now it did take a long time for all the work to be done, but like, was it worth it? 1,000%. Now, while this is all going on, another semi-stressful thing happened. So I had a destination wedding and I got married in Cabo, and I found out in March, I believe it is, which was the same month that my RSVPs were due for my guests, that my hotel was undergoing renovations during my wedding. Now, when I first booked my wedding, one of the questions that I did ask via email, so I had it in writing, was, I want to make sure that there's no scheduled renovations for when my wedding is scheduled for. Now, I scheduled my wedding 14 months before the date. So you would think a big hotel, I got married at a Hyatt, you would think a big hotel like that would have renovations planned out, probably years in advance. And they do. No matter what they tell you, they do. In March, I get a phone call from my travel agent, and she basically is like, okay, I don't want to freak you out, but I just found out through my company that Hyatt is starting renovations, and nobody told you, and nobody reached out to us. And that's kind of fucked up. So we're going to reach out and we're going to see what they can do for us. And I'm low-key panicking because I'm like, oh my God, I just spent all of this money. I still have to pay some money. I wasn't done paying for the wedding. I paid all of this money. My guests are paying all of this money to come here. And we're going to have renovations that are going to affect the wedding. Now, I got married at a gazebo that was next to this Italian restaurant that's all on the beach. And then the party was on the beach, on that side of the hotel. So it's the left side of the hotel. The entire lobby to the left side of the hotel was what was undergoing renovations, including the pool bar, including the Italian restaurant that was to be completely closed, and all of the guest rooms on that side. And the renovations would include like loud noise and, banging. And I was like, are you kidding me? Like, how can you do this to people who have booked their weddings here? Like, that is horrible. So freaking out, literally have so much anxiety. I'm like embarrassed because I'm like, how am I going to have guests come to this wedding? And this hotel is like, people are taking time off to come here and like, they're not even going to have a relaxing trip. I was like really upset. We get on the phone with them, tell them basically all of the things that we're upset about. And my mom was on with me. Once again, my mom is like really good under pressure. And she was like, this is just terrible. She was like, you guys have to do something for her. And we just start rattling off ideas like her room should be free and she should get a discount on the wedding and she should get, all of these things. And we start coming up with these ideas. Lo and behold, they come back to us a week later and they give us everything we asked for. The price per person for our wedding is cut in half. Our guests are getting a discount on their rooms. We get our room for free, which our room was going to cost us $4,500 for the week. I'm trying to think what else, because now this is like, months later that I'm recounting this story. But like, we literally got blessed. We got blessed. And once again, I'm like, this is my dad. He is sending me a gift. He is giving me money. He's putting money in my pocket. And I was still a little bit nervous that all of there were like outside vendor fees we were gonna have to pay that were $1,000 each, like really ridiculous things anyway. And those things got waived. I mean, it was really a blessing. And I was still nervous. Like, is the wedding going to be good? Are people going to be bothered? I was like so scared to tell people. The wedding was perfect. It was perfect. It was beautiful. No regrets at all. It was literally just a gift. So the reason I tell you these two stories is because these were two very stressful, unexpected bumps in the road that like I was freaking out for a minute. But then I remembered that only good things happen to me. And if this is happening, there must be some reason I can't see right now. And I might not understand it today, but there is a reason this is happening that's either teaching me something or giving me something. And God works in mysterious ways, and so does my dad. And this was two huge ways that I was able to literally manifest money into my life. I mean, I could have just been like sitting there like, woe is me, poor me, this is so unfortunate, I can't believe I'm going through this, blah, blah, blah. But that's not my mindset, and that's not the way I look at things. And, maybe I gave myself a 5-minute pity party, but then I really realized that like, everything is going to be fine, and we're going to find a way to make lemonade out of lemons. And we did. Something that I have learned as time has gone on is that it is our nature to be negative. I see it all the time with people in my life, friends, family members. We always are like, of course that would happen. That would happen to me. Watch, this is going to happen now. And when you're putting out that energy, the universe sees and actually hears what you're saying and says, basically, okay, bet. So you're telling me that only bad things happen to you? Got it. Let's attract more of that. So when you start to kind of be a little delusional and just say things like, it's all going to be fine because only good things happen to me, the universe is like, okay, bet, only good things happen to her. So how can we make this into a positive situation? You don't always understand why things are happening the way they are, but there is a reason that's bigger than you realize. And it doesn't always happen right away. Something bad that could be happening to you right now, you might not see the reason why it's happening for a few days, a few weeks, maybe even a few months. It might take you a while to understand why something is happening the way it is. And you know what? Maybe it's not God or the universe sending you a gift. It could be teaching you a lesson. It could be teaching you to adopt this new mindset. But for the people who sit around and say like, woe is me, why does all this bad stuff happen to me? And like kind of make themselves the victim. not only are you attracting more negative stuff into your life, but you're also telling the universe that that's what you deserve. You're making yourself this character and the universe reacts accordingly. If you're making yourself this character of like, my name is Brittany and I'm such a victim. All these horrible things always happen to me. Poor me. Can you believe that this happened to me? Oh my God, it's so sad. You know what happens when you talk like that? People go back and they tell their friends and family, oh my God, did you hear what happened to Brittany? Blah, blah, blah. And you just become a story for somebody to talk about. You just become a topic of conversation, a piece of gossip, and it's really not that interesting. It might be interesting for conversational purposes to people for 5 minutes. And you know what's going to be a lot less interesting to them? Your positive mindset and the fact that things always work out for you. But guess what? You're going to be so much happier because the only person who has to live with your mindset is you. Like, you're the only person who really has to live with the decisions that you make and the way that you look at things. And when you sit there and, you know, something bad happens to you and somebody says to you like, oh my God, I can't believe that happened to you. It's probably more fun and more in our human nature to sit there and gossip and be like, I know, can you believe it? And then this happened to me and then this happened to me. And then guess what? That person goes back and tells that story to someone else. And yeah, it's a little bit more fun for the rumor mill and you get a little pity out of it. But guess what? When somebody says to you, oh my God, I can't believe this happened to you. And you go, don't worry, it's all going to be fine. I know it's like crazy, but everything works out. It's going to be fine. You might not be sitting there and getting the pity party that you might feel you deserve, but you're going to start to actually believe that everything's going to be fine. And your mind is going to be a healthier and a happier place. And you're really going to believe like everything is going to be fine. Nothing like that horrible can really come from this situation. And if it does, I'm going to figure it out. But God has my back. The universe has my back. I'm really here on earth to learn lessons and have this human experience, and it's all going to be fine. Don't you think that's such a better person to go to sleep with that night in your brain than the person who sits in your head and tells you lies? Or as my dad would say, the little guy on your shoulder. Like, you can really go one of two ways, but at the end of the day, if you kind of retrain your brain to look at the bright side of things and try to be positive, even in your darkest, hardest moments, you will be happier in the long run. You have to decide to be this person regardless of the people you are surrounded by. When you are this person, the people around you will shift with you. You know, the more that you expose them to this positive mindset, the more they're going to see like, wow, you're really happier and things are really working out for you. And like, if things are working out for you and you're really happier with this mindset, maybe I should kind of adopt this mindset. And it really does become a trickle effect. Sorry, I don't know why I'm like tripping over that word. Trickle effect. It doesn't matter like what society has told you or taught you that you're supposed to feel based on a situation. You decide what you're going to feel based on a situation. Not your mom, not your dad, not your husband or wife, not your brother or sister. Nobody gets to dictate how you feel about a situation except you. So if you decide that something is really not that serious and everything's going to work out and you're able to take a breath in, take a breath out, you can smile, you can laugh about something, there are better days ahead, it's really not worth getting so tripped up about. And there's so many positive things to think about and focus on. Like, your life is just going to be so much better. Even recording this episode is helping me frame my mindset about something I'm going through right now. And it's making me realize that, like, at the end of the day, it's just me and me. It's just me and me. It's not, I don't need to be affected by the decisions people make around me. I don't need to let like what one person thinks or one person feels really affect who I am. I know who I am. And I actually heard this like tidbit. I don't know if that's the right word, but I heard this like anecdote. That's the word. The other day in like an Instagram reel or a TikTok. And it was somebody who was on the Drew Barrymore show. And he was talking about how when you're born, you are given one person to take care of. It's you. It's yourself. So when I was born, I was given Brittany to take care of. And I really ask myself daily now, like, is what I'm doing taking care of Brittany? Am I making decisions that are helping Brittany heal, helping Brittany move forward in a positive direction? Am I making decisions that are progressing the life of Brittany in a good way? Or am I so focused on what I should feel about this or what somebody else would think about this? Am I too affected by other people's feelings? And that's really not protecting who I am and my experience here on earth. And it's really helping me move forward and live my life in a positive way. It's something I have to make myself think about and feel. It doesn't come naturally to me, but that's because it's something new. It's something I have to teach myself. It's something I have to kind of program into my brain. When I'm not doing my mindset work, I do tend to fall into negative habits. That's why this podcast is going to be honestly a great thing for both you and I, because I'll be holding myself accountable, recording these episodes, staying consistent in this positive mindset, and you'll also be doing the same thing by listening to them. Now, some things that I plan to do to walk into this next year of my life in a positive way. And, this time of year is always a little bit difficult for me because this is when my dad was, at his sickest. He passed away November 21st, 2021. And it's a hard time of year. I'm also just more of a summer person. I don't do great in the cold, in the winter. I love a snow day. I love Christmas, but the rest of this time of year is just so dark and gloomy. Ever since a few days ago, daylight savings, I'm over this. I need the summer. I need the sun. These are some things that I'm going to be trying to do to just put my mindset back into a positive place, because I do tend to get into kind of a depressive mode. And I also have a history with binge eating and overeating and emotional eating. And if you're watching this on video, you kind of know what I look like typically. I lost 115 pounds this year. So I lost a lot of weight and I am healthier than I was, but I still have a lot of healthy habits to start and kind of get back into. I was going to yoga every week and I kind of stopped doing that, and that was really good for my mindset. So here are a few things that I plan to do to kind of just put myself in the best position possible. And some of these things are going to be difficult, but I'm going to try to do them. So let's try to do them together. First and foremost, almost like a little kid, I'm going to give myself screen time limits, not when it comes to my phone, because I do use my phone for work. And I feel like I'm pretty good at limiting negative consumption. I think a lot of people hate social media because it's can be so negative, but I'm actually pretty good at consuming just positive, inspiring things. I haven't been lately though, and that's something that I have to make a conscious decision. I've been falling into victim mentality, consuming a lot of content that is oh, poor me, this, that, I'm hurt from this, and it's just not helping me. And it's what's normal. It's what people you are hurt by something or you're feeling something, so you want to find somebody that relates to you. But then what happens with social media is you just get into this negative realm of things where it just circulates in your brain, and it's just not aiding to helping Brittany. It's not making Brittany happy. It's making Brittany depressed. So no more of that. But what I'm talking about when I say limiting screen time is really TV. Now, my mental release at the end of the day is to sit on the couch and watch TV, and I eat my dinner. And something I did for a really long time, especially when my dad passed, is I would sit on this couch 4 hours and watch TV and binge eat. And I would eat to the point of being sick. And I found myself this last week, 2 nights, not in a row, but in the same week, where I ate to the point of feeling sick. And I was just eating dinner, but then I was eating chips, and then I was eating ice cream, and then I was eating, all these things. So something that I did in my weight loss journey is I started eating ice cubes, because I realized that I like the act of sitting on the couch and eating something. So I decided to basically eat water, and that was great. So I continued to do that, and I plan to kind of just be more intentional. I also used to love to eat just gummies and Scooby snacks. So I got a bunch of vitamin gummies, and I end my night every night with a bunch of these vitamin gummies that all do different things. So it's kind of my way of supplementing it in a like quote unquote healthy way. So that is one, is limiting, kind of giving myself limited screen time, because when I sit on the couch for hours, I end up going to bed so late. It screws up my whole morning. I really want to try to be in bed every day by like 10:30 or 11 o'clock if I can, because I typically will tend to go to bed at around like 12:30, 1 o'clock. I used to go to bed even later than that, but I really want to try to be in bed by like 10:30, asleep by 11 o'clock. And ideally, I really should be in bed by like 9:30 and go to sleep by 10. So we're going to just start little by little, because I find that when I try to do like a cold turkey all or nothing, it doesn't work for me. That might be relatable for you if you've ever tried to like go into a healthy lifestyle. And you're like, okay, I'm going to start going to the gym. I'm going to start eating healthy. I'm going to do this, that, the third. And then it's like this all or nothing that if you skip one thing, you're like, well, I'm just going to have to restart everything tomorrow. So I didn't go to the gym. I might as well eat whatever I want. And it's just not really productive. So I kind of like moved away from doing that. And I try to make like little incremental changes that are more sustainable. So in bed by 10:30, asleep by 11 would be ideal. Second, right hand in hand with that, is I want to try to get up earlier, and I've been pretty good about that as well. But the last week or two, I find myself just having a hard time getting out of bed, not feeling myself. So I'm going to try to set alarms to be up by like 8:30, 9 a.m. That way I can have a productive morning. I usually don't have anywhere to be until the afternoon anyway, so I can get so much more done in the morning. The third thing I want to do is I really want to be intentional about moving my body every day. I am not somebody who enjoys working out. So if you are the same, I feel you. I really feel you. And you don't have to be somebody who's like athletic. There are different things that you can do to move your body that are like low impact. So like hot yoga was my go-to in the beginning of my fitness journey. I absolutely love going to hot yoga, but even just doing yoga at home, if I can't make myself get out of the house and get in the car, because sometimes you just cannot. Like if you're not feeling good, if you're feeling depressed, it's sometimes hard to get out of bed. So if you can just get in your bedroom and even pop on a like yoga class on YouTube, get yourself a yoga mat. Go to Five Below, get one for $5. They're not that great, but they're good for beginners. I started with one from Five Below, and I ended up eventually, actually for Christmas, I got a like real yoga mat from Lululemon. Love, so worth the investment. Definitely get a good one. I actually think I have a good one in my Amazon storefront, but anyway, I want to move my body some way every single day, whether it be through doing yoga at home, going to a yoga class, going to the gym. I like really want to try going back to the gym. I haven't gone to the gym since I've lost all of this weight, and I really do want to try to I know that going to the gym is a mindset thing as well. And I always looked at it as kind of more of like just a physical thing, but I know that if I actually get in there and I'm consistent with it, I'm going to look forward to it. And being that I did lose a lot of weight, I feel like it may be easier to move my body now, because I know that it was with yoga. And the fourth thing that I plan to do is journaling. Now, I used to use the 5-minute journal, and I do want to get a brand new one because I kind of want to start from scratch with it. The 5-minute journal is a really good prompted journal. This is just like a little life hack for you if you don't want to spend the $25 on the 5-minute journal. They have one on from Shein that you can get. That's like, I don't know, maybe like $10 or something. I got them for my friends for my bachelorette party. And it's the exact same thing. It's just not the like legit 5-minute journal. But I also just got myself a growth journal with a lot of prompts in it. And I'm just going to spend time journaling and putting my thoughts down on paper. I do best with prompts. So doing that, putting like the 5-minute journal, the reason I like the 5-minute journal is it gives you prompts of things that you're like, it kind of reminds you what you have to be grateful for. And even on a day that you're not feeling very grateful because there's things happening that are negative, it does kind of make you realize like, okay, for example, today was not a great day for me mentally, but I am grateful that I'm not sick right now. It's a time of year when the seasons change that a lot of people get sick, and I'm grateful I can breathe in through my nose and out through my mouth right now with no problem. I'm grateful for my dogs. I'm grateful that I have these little cute, adorable puppies to cuddle with. I actually have one of my dogs sitting next to me this whole episode. I'm so grateful for that. I'm so grateful that I have a home and that I'm able to afford being a homeowner. Like there's all of these things to be grateful for that sometimes you forget about all of these little things and you just focus on the negative things. And what you think about and you kind of like put out there and focus on is what you attract. Your energy is a magnet. So if you're focusing and starting your day every day, writing down things that you're grateful for, you attract more things to be grateful for. Likewise, if you sit around every day looking at things to be upset about, you'll attract more things to be upset about. It's just how it works. You're just a magnet of abundance or a magnet of negativity. And you really get to decide that. And sometimes it sounds silly in the beginning, and it might feel silly, especially if nobody in your life does it. But be the first person to do it, because you will be the change in your circle. And remember that you were born to take care of one person, and that is yourself. So don't worry about everybody else. You can act as a mirror for people that, when they look at you and they're around you, they feel what you feel. So if you want to be somebody that people are around and they feel positively impacted after spending time with you, start doing that personal development and that work, because I'm telling you, it's a lot better to be that person than to be thought of as the person that's like always negative and always looking at the bad side. And like, there's people that I have removed from my life purely based on the fact that like they were always negative about everything. They were negative about career choices. They were negative about the people that I surrounded myself with. Like, they were just always negative about everything, and they just don't have a place in my life anymore. But maybe if they weren't like that, they would. Everyone has the opportunity to change and be a better person. So maybe that's you. Maybe you're like looking at yourself right now and you're like, oh my God, am I this person that's always negative and always making people like feel negatively about their situations? And am I just a person who sits around and talks shit and is full of drama? Maybe it's time for me to change. And it's never too late to change. And it's not like a shameful thing. It's actually a great thing. I actually don't even really recognize the old version of myself anymore. When I look at old videos and even old conversations, I'm like, who was that girl? That's not me. And at 29 years old, I'm like a completely different person than I was at 23 years old. So those are the things that I am going to start doing. Actually, a little bonus one. You guys can let me know on Instagram if you have any suggestions for me. But I also really want to just start reading books instead of just always watching TV shows. I do love watching TV shows. I love to cuddle up with a good show, but I also love to cuddle up with a good book. I read a book this summer. It's called Verity by Colleen Hoover. It was so good. And I like need another good read like that. But anytime I like read the back of book sleeves, or I don't know if that's the back or the inside, but whenever I read what a book is about, I'm like, I don't really know that I care about this. But I know that I used to love to read. And when I read that book, I finished it in like 2 days. So I really want to start reading because I just kind of liked the quiet it gave me, And just reflecting on how this episode has run and all the things that I kind of am trying to be intentional about, I'm really picturing the version of myself I want to be. And I was kind of on a path to becoming this person, and I've lost her a little bit in the last few months because I haven't been doing the mental work that it takes. I haven't been consuming things that are positive. I'm just really excited to get back onto this journey of being, the only way I can explain it is like clean aesthetic Britney. Kind of what I look like right now. It's giving clean skin. I'm glowing. I want to glow spiritually. I want it to be that when you see me, you can see a pure soul, if that makes sense. That's the impact. I want to have that white aura light around me. I want to wake up every day and go to yoga and sit at the kitchen counter and catch up on my emails and, record my beauty routine and make money doing it and record these podcast episodes and connect with so many people. And I want to have a positive impact. I want to see people and for them to tell me they listened to an episode and that it impacted them in a positive way. This is who I want to be remembered as, not the girl who is driving home with anxiety, stressed out about things going on, and why is this happening to me, and this, that, and the third. That's not who I want to be. So I'm going to make the decision that that's not who I'm going to be anymore, and you guys can do that too. So it's been a long episode. I'm so happy to be back with you guys. I really, really am. There's so many more things to talk about. I feel like we did cover a lot in this episode, and it is quite long, but I think it was overdue. I'm so excited to be here with you guys. I will see you guys on the next episode of The iWorld. Thanks. Bye.